What we do here is go back.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hey guys, it's Dario again. Today we're going to be building LS's. I just picked up a 5.3 out of a 2008 Suburban, and we're going to redo it, and then this is going to be the engine that I'm going to put into my Pinto that I'm converting from a turbo four-cylinder car to a V8. So I got a bunch of cars on the go right now. I got a bunch of engines on the go. I got tons of engines on the go. If you see my Instagram, I had a picture. I had like 8 or 9 engines. Some have left, more have come. Just kind of got shit everywhere in the back corner of the shop here. I'll just do a quick buzz around to all the other engines and stuff I got on the go right now, and then we'll go back to what we're actually working on. So this is LS2 I'm putting together. It's gonna have it's a refreshened. It came in with a spun rod bearing. We put a different crank in it, another rod, new rings, new bearings. It's gonna get a cam, springs, all kinds of good stuff like that. This is a Turbo 400 I'm putting together. It's gonna have it's set up for a rock buggy, so we're just reworking it with this new style Hughes valve body that they just came out that has engine brake. It's a reverse manual valve body, but it has engine braking in all gears, which most reverse manual valve bodies don't. That one there is just an LM7 that it's kind of a rescue mission we're putting back together. If you've seen a couple months ago on my Instagram, I had a picture of a cam bearing. Well, this is all the parts that we could use in another block with another cam. This one's getting the sloppy stage 2 cam in it, and it's just going in a mid-80s Monte Carlo. It'll just be a fun driver. Bunch of pistons and stuff. This is going in, this is the L33. It's got a sloppy stage 2. It's got trick flow doubles, push rods, a bunch of stuff, ARP head bolts. It's still a stock bottom end deal, but it's going on in a C5 Corvette that I turboed. The guy's taking out the LS1, and he's gonna put this in it with a billet 7875 from Viren. It should be a pretty cool combo. That's one of the next jobs we'll be working on. There's that bag there. That's another aluminum 5.3 that we're going to be doing a combo on. I'll be making a video on that. An LY6 that's going together. It's just going to be a pro touring type deal. And an L33 that we're putting together with another sloppy stage 2 cam, stock bottom end deal. This is a super low K one. And then over here I have an LSA that I'm putting together. It's getting rods and pistons, Comstar rods, Wiseco pistons, pretty much ported heads from West Coast cylinder heads, and it's going actually in a CTSV. It's out of a CTSV and it's going back in it, which is pretty odd for the stuff I do. Usually I'm doing stuff for swaps and that kind of stuff. So this is the engine I just picked up for the Pinto. It's a 5.3, like I said, out of a 2008 Suburban. It was swapped out because apparently it has low compression on one cylinder. I'm not totally sure what's wrong with it yet. This had DOD, so probably it has a failed lifter maybe that can cause low compression on these things sometimes. I totally don't know what's wrong with it, but I really don't care. I'm not going to be using the 799 heads it has on it. I'm actually going to put some 862s on it. I'll explain why that later in the build. I'm actually going to de-stroke this thing. I have a mint rotating assembly out of a 4.8 liter, and I'm going to take the 5.3 stuff out because if there's something wrong with it, and then I'm just going to transfer all of the 4.8 stuff into it because I'm building a very specific combo for the, I'm trying to go as far as I can on a $180 GT45. So my goal is I have to build the smallest displacement motor to make the turbo, if you understand, it makes the turbo go the farthest without choking out. So you can see it's still got snow on it. It's fresh out of the truck. I'm going to tear it down here, and I'll come back and we'll get the heads off, have an inspection, and then we'll get the bottom end apart, have another inspection, and we'll go from there. Alright, so we got the heads off, and the guy just told me that this thing was running bad when he got, that's why they swapped it out. I bought it as a core, so I always figured you get $250 for the heads, so I pretty much got this motor for pretty close to free if I sell the heads for $250. So, but looks like they were having quite the party inside the engine, because every single intake valve has met the piston. I don't know if you can see it there. Every single one of them on both sides kiss the piston. So I'm gonna have to dig into this deeper and see what is going on. So I got this thing apart, and it was kind of like what I was thinking, but not as bad as I was thinking. So this is actually the second time I've had this on one of these motors. The 08 and newer ones have a little tensioner on this side and a guide on this side. Well, actually, here's the piece here. Found that in the pan. It goes on this side, and this is a little backing plate for the spring. And looks like all the stuff blew apart, and has about probably 10 or 15 degrees of timing chain slack. So that's why all the pistons kissed all the valves. This is actually the second time. The engine that I got as a core in my Chevette, it actually had 16 bent valves, because this blew apart. Like it wrecked, and it took all the teeth off the cam gear. You can see there's a little piece of, I can't even get it out. There's a little chunk of guide stuck, stuck in there between the two pieces. I took the oil pump off just to give you guys a better look at it. So good thing I was going to put a 4.8 rotating in this anyways, because the pistons are pretty banged up. I wouldn't be totally against using them, but it's not what I'm going to be using anyways. I was hoping I could maybe reuse the piston and just put 4.8 rods, but I already have 4.8 pistons that are flat tops also, so I'm just going to end up using those. So I got the rest of I pulled the oil pan off, threw the DOD lifters in the bush, vacuumed it all out, try to keep, I'm not too concerned because this thing is going to get blown apart, but I'm trying to keep as much dirt in this thing out as possible. So the next step I'm going to do is I'm going to pull the cam out, I'm going to take the lifter valley out, give all the rods a wiggle just to see how they are, and then just keep stripping her down till I get it down to a bare block. got it all apart. Everything looks pretty clean inside. It was in actually pretty good shape other than the timing issues. So all I'm going to do to it, I'm just going to give it a quick hone with the dingle ball and then take it to the car wash and hose it off. I have the 4/8 crank ready to go back in. I have a used set of bearings that came from the 4/8 crank that I'm going to reuse. This is going to get a Little John Motorsports Stage 1 turbo cam. It's like 222, 227. John says that these things will do 7,500 RPM and still be making power with like a 76, 75, which should be good with the turbo that we're going to use with this thing. I'm putting some trick flow valve springs on it, and then I got a used set of takeout Johnson slow leak down lifters off of a customer of mine. He just decided to put a new set in his car, so I'm just going to roll the dice with those. And I'm going to put some push rods in it because I plan to rev this thing to the moon. Like, I'll keep revving this thing till it stops making power. So the turbo I'm going to use on this thing is one of these. The old tried and true 69mm GT45. It's $185 shipped. I think I paid on eBay. It's a 69mm inducer with a 77mm exhaust wheel, T4i, I think they call the exhaust pattern. The fastest anybody's gone with one of these on a V8 is a guy a few years ago on LS1 Tech. His name was 1/WRX. He had a 240. He went 9.1 at 146 in a 4.8 with a LS6 cam and a turbo 400. And he was like totally out of gear. That's why it didn't mile per hour very well. So I'm hoping I can get at least somewhere around that. The Pinto's a little bit lighter. It's going to have a power glide. I'm probably going to put a 355 gear in the back just so it's not as crazy. It's got 389s in it right now with a 26-inch tall tire because I used to shift my 4-cylinder car at 8,700 RPM because it was still making power up there. So our goal is to kind of get the engine together. The next thing will be putting the engine back together, stabbing the cam in, putting the heads on, and then after that we're going to try to get it set in the car. We'll do an overview of the car and what I've done to it. I've owned the car for 10 years and I've done all kinds of stuff with it. It's gone 970s with the turbo 4-cylinder, so I'm hoping it goes a little bit faster than that with the Junkyard LS stuff. This is going to be a pretty low budget deal. I have enough money tied up in my other car with the Chevette, spending money on all kinds of things I shouldn't be. So this is going to be as cheap as I can do it. I'm not going to keep track like the Malibu, but I'm just going to kind of find the most low budget way of doing things that I can get to my actual goal. So follow along, stay tuned, and there'll be more episodes. Thanks.